folks along the road, just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all the smiling faces, gathering along the Scotswood Road to see the bleeding races. We went to bleeding races.
Oh, it's back through Bartes!
1862 on a summer's afternoon, we took the bus from Bambras and she was heavy laden. Where we went along Collinwood Street, that's on the road to Bladen. Whoa, me lads, you should have seen us gunning, passing the folks along the road just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all with smiling faces, gunning along the Scotswood Road to see the bleeding races.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to another show. John Sinclair TV back again. And this evening is called Let's Talk Newcastle United. I've got Tony, my usual guest. How you doing, Tony? You good?
Yeah, I'm great, John. Thanks. Are you all right, mate?
I'm fine, man. I'm fine. Just, I had a tough day today, but there you go. I've got a special guest tonight. He was for the Evening Chronicle, and also Everything is Black and White, also Gibbo. And he's a top guy. And we got Andrew Musgrove. Andrew, how are we doing, mate?
I'm good, guys. How are we doing? You all well?
Yeah,
fine, mate. Thank you. Yeah,
absolutely fine. How's Andrew? How's things, Andrew? You good?
Yeah. Can't complain. Nice to be busy. Working for the Chronicle, covering Newcastle United, and they're actually doing things for the first time in 14 years. So it's just refreshing. I mean, that's why I'm on, I guess, to talk about all the exciting things happening. But yeah. I mean, what a day it's been today, for instance.
Yeah, wow. Is it nice to have a busy transfer window for a change rather than the previous owner where you were waiting till the end of the window before somebody came in?
It is. From you were kind of always wondering if anything would happen at all under Mike Ashley. But of course, under these owners, they've got plans and they've got ambitions to strengthen the squad. And that's the refreshing thing above all else, is that, they're not just getting by. They are here to improve the team, and we've saw today with the signing of Isak. I mean, that's a statement signing. If you were after one, that marquee signing, that shows they really do mean business.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I was just going to put this out there for the breaking news today for people who don't know. Over the country, at Newcastle has signed Alex Isak for Real Sociedad for club record 60 mil on a 6-year deal. They say long term. I've got some comments as well before we go on to Isak. Big up to Andrew, evening to you. Dara, evening to you, mate. We'll be okay. Totally the red. A good evening for me and a good evening for you, Daniel, Andrew, John, and Tony. And Daniel, F and saying evening as well. Guys, if you like the video and you do like what you see, then please hit the like button. Then also have to honor hitting that subscribe button if you are new. If you like the super chat, then just click on the $sign. And if you'd like to become a member, it's only 99p. Just click on the join button as well. So we start with Andrew, because you might guess. Isak, £60 million on a record signing. Wow. I mean, these owners means business. And for me, I think it's a fantastic player, in my opinion. That's a player I wanted. What's your take on this guy? And do you think it's going to be a huge success in Newcastle?
I mean, the first take that I've taken from this deal is the fact that Newcastle wanted this fella for a long time, and earlier in the summer the deal didn't come off, and they've moved on to other targets, but then they've gone back to this guy. And we saw it with Botman, we saw it with Atekie. They've got names that they want to go after, and if it doesn't work, they stick. They've got a plan B, plan C, but they always seem to stick within a pool of players because these are the players they've scouted, and I think that's really refreshing, because when you have this wealth, it would be very easy just to open the checkbook and go, okay, we haven't got a number one target. Let's look around. Why don't we throw 40 million at Danny Ings? Why don't we go after X, Y, Z? But what they've done is they've stuck to players that they've watched, that they've scouted, that they've liked, and it's paid off. The reports say that Real Sociedad wanted 75 million was the release clause originally, and they've got him for 58, potentially rising to 63, 64. That is a sign of their approach, and I think it just shows a bit how savvy they are in this market, which it is an overinflated market, and it's a big signing for Newcastle United.
It's absolutely massive. Andrew's absolutely fantastic. I mean, he's 22 years old, 6'4", and we bought him for the future as well. This guy's been absolutely brilliant for Sociedad as well. And this is the guy I wanted if I had a choice of buying a striker. And look, we got the guy. Got him from Stephen. Get on Newcastle. They mean business this season. They're going for a top finish. Isak, I like the look of him. That's a deal. Would you need to stand fullback with issues of craft? How about Dubravka for Wan-Bissaka? For me personally, Bissaka, no thank you. Craft, I hope we wish you a speedy recovery, but I think we do another right back as well. It needs to be, but Kieran Trippier is fantastic, so no problems there. Isak's still young. He's nowhere near good enough, nowhere near the official article, sorry. He's only going to get better. What do you think of that one, Tony?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I said this the other night, John, as well. He's only 22, so the lad's got time to improve. He's nowhere near his peak yet, so he's nowhere near the finished article. And I think it's great business. Like Andrew says, we've looked at targets, we've looked at A, B, and C, but we haven't gone outside of this pool of players. And I think Isak will bring a lot to the team, and as long as people don't expect too much of him on Sunday, because he's going to have to take time to get into the pace of the Premier League, because it's a lot different from Spain, from La Liga, different pace of football altogether. So, and it's a bit more physicality than what it is in Spain. So he'll have to get used to that. But I'm sure he'll fit in really well. He looks the part as well. I mean, I know he's a tall striker, but he's good with his feet and he's got no weaknesses. So, I think it's an all-round, it's a great all-round signing. And I think there'll be another 2 permanent signings coming in, and then maybe they might try the loan market. Maybe a loan market for right back if Emil Kraft is out long. But there again, we've got Manquillo who can step in and do that job. So maybe we don't need a right back. But yeah, other than that, no, great day to be a Newcastle fan. We've broke the record again. And but these owners mean business. And I've said this for a while, John. I did say it to you about a month ago. We will smash our transfer record. And these owners will spend big. And that's what's happened.
Totally, you're bang on the money, mate. I totally agree with you there as well. And I've also said as well, or called out a few people saying we're going to get this guy through the door. And I said that, or to be laughed at. Big up to Ken, by the way. Hope you're well, mate. What a day being a Toon fan. I still reckon we get at least another sign in the summer. That's in Shuad Jordy. And I'm with you, John. Isak is going to Milan. I think. I said Bob was going to go to Milan, but I was completely wrong. But anyway. And Alison, big up to Alison, by the way. She's lovely, by the way. Looking forward to see our hit. Alison, you're amazing. And thank you for coming in. Hope our orders doing wonders in London for next transfer. Crossing my fingers for Gallagher, Pulisic, or Diaby. Andrew, are we going to get one of those 3 players, do you think, through the door?
I think they'll look to add to the squad. They still want that wide man. Lots of talk about what they could get out of Chelsea, whether it be a loan sign. I think the loan market's going to be key, isn't it? We saw the success when they signed Matt Targett. A lot of people weren't too sure about him. He proved his worth. Had it gone badly, you say, right, you've only wasted a few months with him and you move on to the next target, no pun intended. And the same can happen again this time around. They can go out and they can sign maybe Conor Gallagher on loan. Hopefully he'll do exactly what he did at Crystal Palace, and then maybe they can look to work out a permanent deal there, later on in the season. But I do think the loan market's going to be key here because it frees up funds, and it's a try before you buy, isn't it? Which is perfect. So they're still going to be active. They do need a wide player. People have been mentioning a full back there. That injury to Kraft isn't looking too good, is it? Which is a massive shame for him. I thought we were quite solid in the right back department with those two, Kieran Trippier and Kraft. It's a shame he's got injured. And then you look around the centre mid. I still think they're lacking a bit of a bite there, a bit of a Chick Tiote kind of character, someone who's going to really go at the ankles. But how they spent this money on Isak, how easy is it going to be to then go out and spend another 50, 60 million pounds that you're potentially looking at for a midfielder of that quality. We've seen how much Paqueta's cost, and I know he's not the same mould as I've just described, but he's an example how much Madison would cost. You know, Newcastle are a wealthy club, but they've still got to play within the financial fair play rules. And, you know, I think we're going to see them be very clever over the next couple of weeks. And I think, like I say, the loan market's probably going to be key.
I have to agree, mate. I have to agree. Hobart owners are doing wonders in London. Yeah, we read that. Aaron, big up to you, mate. Top signing. Hi, John, Tony, and Andrew. Of course, let's have a good laugh at Matt Combs that don't even have a manager. Let's hope Boosie takes all that. We'll see. I think if Isak scores 10-15 this season, I consider that a success. Yeah, get between 10 and 15, no problems at all. Rumslow Common Newcastle actually must be milking the club dry. We'll have to be patient with Isak. It'll take a little time to adjust the pace, but I think he should be okay. Any questions for Andrew, guys? Just fire those questions away, and then we do the best we can on the questions as well. Now we've got Isak. Let's go and get Diaby through the door. Even to you, Pablo and Alison. Exciting times here. Heath, great being a Newcastle fan. Thanks for the kind words. Unfortunately, I will miss the Liverpool game on holidays. Anyway, nice, Alison. Let us know. Tony, you're on about Diaby a couple of times now. How close do you think you're going to get this guy, or do you think he'll still be leaving?
Well, I've heard rumours going around, and Andrew may have heard them as well. I've heard rumours because Leverkusen are having a really bad start of the season. They're second bottom on goal difference in the Bundesliga. They're getting Hudson-Odoi on loan from Chelsea, which in a way is a good move for him because the guy, it'll suit his pace of the game being in Germany, plus with him having to put a little bit of weight on as well. It'll help him over there. And I've heard that Diaby is making noises that he's not happy there now and that he's looking to move if possible because of the situation, what Leverkusen have started to start the season of. As I say, Andrew may have heard the same sort of things as well. I mean, there could be a deal there. I mean, the thing is, there's 6 days left of the window. And as we all know, when it comes towards the end of the transfer window, it starts getting silly and people and clubs start releasing players for a lot cheaper than they were at the start of the window. So say you might have Diaby at 60 million at the start of the window, but say by next Thursday, Leverkusen might say, oh, we'll take 30 million and you can have him. You know, that's how silly it can be. Because some clubs get desperate that, oh, well, if the no player's not happy, how do we get rid of him? Oh, we'll have to just drop the fee and try and sell him on that way. You know, if Diaby came in, I think that would be a great signing. Right winger, exactly what we're crying out for. He scores goals. You know, last season he got 12 goals, 13 assists. You know, the guy's a great player. And maybe this would suit him, a project like this. I know he said he would like to go to PSG, but there's no chance of him going there because they're not even in for him. There was ourselves and Arsenal in for him. But if there is a chance of a deal being done, I think the owners will go in and do that and bring him. Don't know what you think, Andrew.
I agree with you on the comments about how silly the market can get. And I think we've seen Newcastle potentially play that kind of tactic where they've been very strong with their bids, where they've said, this is the final offer, this is what we're going to pay. And I think it is a little bit of brinkmanship, you know, who's going to break first. Of course, it can backfire as well. In a way, Newcastle have been quite fortunate that they've managed to get this deal done so quickly for Isak, given Callum Wilson's injury. You know, if that had happened, say, on Sunday against Wolves, then you only have 2 or 3 days left of the window. Then suddenly, you know, you wouldn't be looking at 60 million because players already think you've got this endless bucket of cash, and then they know that you're missing your number one striker for at least 3-4 weeks potentially, whatever it may be, and then that price ramps up again. So it can work both ways. In terms of Diaby, you know, he was linked strongly, wasn't he, at the start of the summer, and it was all about Champions League football for him. As you say, Arsenal also reportedly holding interest. Again, it would be another massive name to come through the door, and it would really show, you know, the European footballing world just how big Newcastle big of a draw Newcastle on, and that they do mean business. But I think it would be as much as that player might want to kick up a fuss and maneuver for an exit, I don't think Leverkusen, from what I read, are in a need to sell. So is the price may come down a little bit, but is it going to come down much below that 50 odd million they were originally quoting selling clubs? If they're if they're not in a position where they have to sell, then I'm not too sure it would. But Newcastle seem very keen to get in a wide sort of player, so it's probably one to watch in terms of that position as a whole. Rather than singling Diaby out. But yeah, if he arrived, it would be a huge signing, and would just take this window, which has already been a successful window, to the next level.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, right? I mean, I've never been so excited in this window. It's the best window I can remember having for a long, long time, and it's just so exciting to see it. Got on from the bit still in midfield from Duno. Jason said, "Do you think Isak will be starting at the weekend?" I think he will. Andrew, will he be starting this weekend or?
I think we're still waiting for confirmation. I heard that it was something to do with international clearance, so it may just be a case of waiting to see what the team sheet is on Sunday. I'm sure it may filter out over the weekend whether Newcastle made the deadline or not. But then you do look at what Eddie Howe has done with new signings. Bruno took a little bit of a while to get into the side. I know part of that was because the likes of Joe Linton, Shelvey, and Joe Willock were playing so well. But Botman hasn't started straight away in the 11. I know he's in it now, but he wasn't first choice, was he? Against Forest. So it depends. It's been a bit of a whirlwind few days for Isak. He's a young lad. It's not going to be easy. He's just slipping into it. So if he's got clearance, I can see the clamour from the start. He fits the style of play a lot better than Chris Wood does. But it's just you look back at what Eddie Howe has done with other signings, and you can see him starting on the bench and coming off the bench if Newcastle need him or Newcastle want to introduce him to the game. And plus, Chris Wood getting a goal, that is a massive confidence boost to him. Now, he's had his critics. Yes, he didn't score enough goals last season, but he does like to score against Wolves. Tends to be a favourite team of his. So him scoring in midweek could be the perfect confidence boost. And wouldn't it be refreshing if against Liverpool and then against Palace, Eddie Howe has the option of a top quality centre forward, and then maybe Chris Wood, who's also started us banging the goals against Wolves, for example. So maybe Chris Wood deserves the nod on Sunday to begin with, and hopefully he can bag a few goals and really give Eddie Howe something to think about.
Yeah, absolutely spot on, man. Absolutely spot on. Got one for Avenger. I think the City game turns on heads to show in terms of how improved Newcastle has become and shows we are for real. Also, Newcastle have only lost versus Liverpool in 2022. Now, thing is, Tony, we played Man City last week. We stood toe to toe with them. I thought we were the better team between the two. We absolutely bothered them as well and passed the game. And they just didn't have a clue at passing on me. But the reason you see those silly goals, that's when they got a point. And for me, I'd be happy for a point out of the game. Should have been all three, but I think these players are for real, mate.
Yeah, I was happy with the draw against Man City. I did see a point before the game started. I did see 1-1 my prediction, and I was totally wrong with that because it was 3-3. But no, all in all, we played well against City. After going a goal down, we could have crumbled. Now, the old Newcastle would have crumbled after going down so early, but we picked ourselves up and we got going. Yeah, Almiron should have probably equalised when he put that shot over the bar. But, all players miss shots like that, We've seen players miss open goals, and hit the post. So it happens to the best of them. But to actually go ahead in that game, be 3-1 up, everybody's in dreamland. They were like, hang on a minute, what's going on here? We're 3-1 up against City. But as you always know, against City, they're never going to give you a moment's peace. And we needed to really be on our toes for the next 10 minutes and try and stop them scoring. I think if we had a 10, 15-minute period of stopping them scoring, we may have gone on and won that game. But because the defence went to sleep a little bit, they allowed Haaland in to score, and then Bernardo Silva got an easy goal for himself as well. You know, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to complain because, you know, a point against the champions and probably the best team in the Premier League, you know, it's great. I mean, considering the week before, Bournemouth were won at 4-0 and they beat West Ham's opening game of the season away 2-0. So, you know, I know it was a battle of the battle of the best defences in the league because we both hadn't conceded a goal. So, you know, we've both conceded 3 now. But yeah, but no, overall, I thought it was a great point. And after the 4-0 drubbing last season at home to now drawing 3-3 with them, that shows you how much progress has been made. And that shows you how much Eddie Howe has done to this team. You know, yes, there's still a few players there that probably need to go, but we're not going to get rid of all them at once. And the bench isn't great. But, you know, we've just got to get rid of the players that we don't need. And then, obviously, any new signings we've got integrate them into the team. But it's all going to go to be a good season this season, and no reason why we can't go for the top 6.
Totally have to agree, man, because the thing is, we're going to go for it this season. I think we probably get top 6, 7 in any case. And yeah, we just got to keep doing what we're doing. Eddie Howe's done a wonderful job at introducing his come through the door. I know people are saying that he's not a big enough name, but what he's done, he's come in and everyone's playing for this guy. He turned Joe Linton's career around, you know, from a 40 million flop into a 40 million midfield dynamo. I think Joe Linton's going to get better and better and better, in my opinion. With Bruno Gamache in there in midfield, I tell you what, those 2 lads in midfield, I tell you something, they have definitely shown.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Linton for me was man of the match against Manchester City. I know Alan St. Maximin had a stormer, but Joe Linton was just absolutely everywhere. There was an effort when Nick Pope tipped Haaland's shot onto the post, and everyone's concentrating on the save, and it was a tremendous save. But if you look straight after, there's a City player running in, and Joe Linton's straight there to get a foot on the ball, and he was making them sort of interceptions all day long. He just was absolutely superb. And just going back to when City scored that first goal, you know, you mentioned the response, but got to give the fans a huge round of applause, because I was in the Leazer's end and you could sense it was really on a balance. You know, this was either going to go one way or the other. And then all of a sudden, you could hear the voices in the crowd raising, and then it just domino effect, and it got round the whole stage. I mean, you know, it's cliche, isn't it? The 12th man. But in that moment, that was so important. And you mentioned Eddie Howe there and the work he's done with the players, the work he's done with the team. But every single fan in that ground on Sunday, as it seemed to me, has bought into what Eddie Howe wants to do at this club, what these players are doing for Eddie Howe. And it's unbelievable. And Newcastle United fans, played a massive, massive part in that game on Sunday, and they will do throughout the season. But for me, I wasn't at the Arsenal game, so I can't comment on that, and some of your viewers will probably tell me I'm wrong. But for me, that City game, the atmosphere, the backing from the fans, and the impact it had on the players, I haven't felt that in a very long time watching Newcastle United. It was tremendous, and we just need to bottle that and take it into the season. But on Eddie Howe, you know, he found it tough, didn't he, at the start? It took him a long time to get that win. It came against Burnley, but you never saw him chucking his players under the bus of the managers. At other clubs have done that, where everyone else has fought for their own. But Eddie Howe seems to project this united kind of feeling. He said after the Tranmere game, we wanted to go down there united, and that's what they did. And he really seems to buy into the importance of what I think fans want from their football club, and that is to give 100% every single game. You know, if they'd been beaten 3 or 4-0 on Sunday against City, it wouldn't have been because they hadn't put all their effort in and they hadn't given their all to the barge. It would have been because of pure quality, maybe a couple of mistakes here or there. But you could have guaranteed, because Eddie Howe has set that bar so high, that every single day they go into training, every single game they play, every time they put on that black and white shirt or the lovely blue one that you're wearing there,
Yeah, thank you.
the players have to give their all because it's what he expects, and he's just been tremendous. It's important they've got a new contract, an extension to him. It shows faith in him. Them England rumours are always going to be there, but it shows faith on both sides. And you mentioned there just finally about people saying, is he a big enough name? But I don't know why I feel this way, and it's nothing I've heard. It's just my gut instinct. But I don't think that this club's going to be run like many people expect it to be. I mean, Amanda Staveley came out and said, we want him to be our Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, to me, that it's easy to say that, but that's a big thing to say if you don't mean it. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
And I think he's got enough credit in the bank that if things do go wrong over a 10, 12 game period, you'll get time to turn it around. I don't think it will. I think Newcastle will have a decent season. They'll comfortably survive. They'll have a good cup run, I think, as well. I personally think, and I get slated for this every time, 10th, 11th would suit me in a good cup run. Anything else is a bonus, but maybe I'm just a bit pessimistic. I just think we don't want to put too much pressure on Eddie Howe to begin with, because then the talk is he a big enough name? That then comes out of the woodwork. And if we're expecting too much, I can get where people are coming from with the signings and the way the league looks at the moment, but slow and steady is my motto. I think so far so good, and hopefully Eddie Howe can be there for a long time and he can lead Newcastle to cup glory and just to becoming an established Premier League side, because that's important as well. To become an established Premier League side should be the first aim in my view, because we've been up and down so many times and battling against relegation. Just last season, for example, the season before that, etc., etc. Let's just become an established side and then start thinking top 7, top 6, and so on. Let's just slow and steady.
Yeah, that's fair enough, Andrew. That's fair enough comment there, mate. Alisson, guys, the Pedro deal is off now. I believe it's off for the time being, but you can never tell. You can never tell, Tony, because look, something could happen in the last minute. You might just say, you know what, pay the 30 million to Watford, get this guy in, job done.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of the week, it was out there for Fabrizio Romano and other people saying, this is a done deal. And then all of a sudden it stalled. And then obviously yesterday, I saw the rumor about Isak and I thought, yeah, is that true? And then all of a sudden it was all over the media, everywhere, every platform. So then we knew that was going ahead. The Pedro one seems to have tailed off. Whether Newcastle have pulled out of the deal, don't know. Don't know what's going on there with that. It's a bit of a funny one, to be honest. Maybe something to revisit, maybe not. I don't know. The only thing I do feel for is I actually feel for the player as well, because the players wanted to come, and obviously now this is all stalled. Now, if he's back in that Watford team tomorrow, how's his head going to be tomorrow? So, I know the player's not here, but you're sort of thinking as the player how his mind's going to be, and you feel sorry for him in a way, because, he was looking for this big move, and then all of a sudden it's not gone through. So he's like, so he's in limbo at the moment. So I don't know what's going to happen on that one. I guess it's just a wait and see, I think, on that. But going back to Andrew on the Eddie Howe, I mean, to become the league manager, I mean, all these people out there keep saying, is Eddie Howe a big enough manager? The way I keep saying it, and I've said this for a long time, why can't Eddie Howe be a big manager? Why do you need a big manager? Why should, say, Howe not have the chance to take Newcastle to the next level? Why should he go and then get a Jose Mourinho or somebody in? You don't need a Jose Mourinho. We've got Eddie Howe. Give Eddie Howe the chance. Jurgen Klopp, he took his first club down, got them relegated out of Bundesliga, went to Dortmund, made his name at Dortmund. He's went to Liverpool. They've won cups, Champions League. They've won the Premier League, the Charity Shield this year. He's an elite manager, and he started like Eddie Howe did. So, and Thomas Tuchel's another one. He started out like Eddie Howe as well. and he's made his name. And so, yeah, you've got to give the guy a chance. And I believe Eddie Howe will become the elite manager. And I think the reason they gave him a new contract at the start of the season was, one, to say to the FA, you ain't getting anywhere near Eddie Howe unless you're going to pay massive money. So I don't think the FA will come looking for Eddie Howe if Southgate has a bad World Cup. Two, it'll be for the transfer window coming up as well. If players come into the club, now the one thing the players like when they come into a club is how long's the manager there for? Because they're playing for this guy. And if they come in a club and the manager's only got 18 months left, they're going to think, well, is this manager still going to be there? Or am I coming into a club with a bit of turmoil? But now they've seen Eddie Howe's got this contract, and they know he's there for, say, the next 3, 4, 5 years, because we don't know what the length of the contract is. Then players are now looking and thinking, oh, we'll go there because that manager's got stability because he's going to be there for the next few years at least. So the stability there at the club, and they see that stability, and that helps you bring players in. That makes your recruitment a little bit easier as well. Because when players move, they want the security that they're going to be, their futures are going to be secure there as well, because they're having to up sticks and move home and everything. So, yeah, it affects a lot of people. But no, there's no reason why Eddie Howe can't become an elite manager. And I think he will. And he takes us to the next level. Why not? He gets us into a Champions League place eventually. Why not? He's already said he wants to win us a trophy. So, what more do you want? And, you can say about Keegan, fair enough, that was back in the 90s, but he nearly won us a trophy. And he had never managed a club before. So, yeah, it's the only way you can get your name in the game. And Eddie Howe done all his homework. He went to see Sarri, Simeone and Klopp and stood on the training ground with them. So he's learnt a lot when he left Bournemouth. So, yeah, I think he's done a cracking job. And I don't think any other team will lose 14 games and stay up again. I think this is a one-off.
Do you know what? I have to agree with you, Tony, 110%, and especially with Eddie Howe as well. For me personally, I think this guy is destined for going for the very, very top. He could be one of the best British managers ever. So I'm not going to say above Alex Ferguson, but let's be real, right? He could be on that way if he's given the time to do it. And I hope he's at Newcastle for a long, long time because I'm a fan of him. Got one for Rexy as well, Leicester fan. Lordy is now available on loan. Should we go for him as backup for Target? He's been linked to Nottingham Forest as well, by the way. But if he's available, I think I'd take a punt on him as well. Isak lacks movement in the penalty area. He relies on ball falling kindly to him. Also considering his height, he's not dominant as an aerial target. Conversion rate 8% has the weakness. Andrew, according to Foxy, do you think that's true, or do you think you should be worried about that?
His numbers aren't great. I think we have to be honest. If you look at last season, I think it was 6 goals, but then the season before it was 17. It's easy for a player to have an off season. He's already scored this season against Barcelona. I think the way Newcastle play will suit him. With St. Maximin running down the flank and Almiron or A of another, and the way they really do move quickly. If he can run into the channels like Wilson does, then he's going to have no problem. Eddie Howe's not going to change his style of play. I think they've gone for someone who is a little bit similar in terms of he can run at defenders and get the ball over the top or along the floor. I think we just got to be patient. He's 22, he's a young lad, and I think the good thing about where Newcastle are now is everyone's in such a good mood that if he doesn't score in the first 4, 5, 6 games, no one's going to be on his back because everyone's going to be supporting him. You might get noises from outside of Newcastle and from national media and what have you, saying, "Oh, well, he's a waste of money." But you will have it. You'll have the coaching staff backing him. You'll have the players backing him. You'll have the fans backing him. I remember Joe Linton in the FA Cup, and he had a shocker, didn't he? Who was it against? It was against Mansfield or Macclesfield, and under Steve Bruce and Ashley, and he got really, really, really bad abuse from the fans. And I think it was just people just getting frustrated, and that was the release, and it was very unfair on Joe Linton. I felt, but I think that was a kind of where Newcastle were at that point, the fans were so frustrated, and rightly, with the way the club was going under Bruce and Ashley, that the first person that did something wrong was going to just get it. Whereas here, I think we're all in just a better place, aren't we, with the club? And I think, you're going to see support. You mentioned, like, for instance, Miggy, when he missed against Manchester City. That, again, was a moment in the game which is in a balance, because if things are going bad, say if that's under Mike Ashley and the Steve Bruce, maybe the fans get on his back and start slagging him off. But he scores a goal. But again, I was there. I was watching that in the Leazes End. I'm a fan myself, so I got up and I applauded him. And let's go again. A few minutes later, he scores, and I think that's because there is just this good feeling where everyone is backed. And so, if this kid, if Isak doesn't hit the ground running, I think he will do in time. It's just about backing him and just putting that giant arm of 52,000 people around him and backing him. But I think he'll do fine. Will he score 30, 40 goals a season? No, probably not. But he's got a good injury record. His fitness is good. I think he will bag quite a few goals. It might just take him a little time to get settled in. But Arsenal, Real Madrid, they were all linked and all liked him if you read the reports. So, I mean, that is a big, big sign that you've got a player who was liked by some of the top clubs in Europe. And again, it shows Newcastle United means business by going out and getting him, but also it shows that they've signed a player that some big clubs really like. So that says a lot about, I think, the player they've signed.
Yeah, absolutely right. I totally agree, man. If you said there, mate. I want Eddie Howe to take Newcastle to the next level and then get an England job years down the line. Get someone else in after Southgate, not Howe. Graham Potter could be available. You never know. Jurgen Klopp never got relegated. He took Mainz from League 2 or Second Division to 8th, then got Dortmund's job, took them to Champions League final and won that league. That's the difference there. And Isak was given all the time in the world, no pressure whatsoever. Tony talked off the backstage. I've got to get Andrew's comments too about Paul Merson. He's come out and he's slated Newcastle United again, right? And he's come out and he said that Isak has never played in the Premier League, right? I could say now, never did Aguero, never did Henry, never did Drogba, yeah? Never did Ronaldo, right? But Paul Merson has got a gripe with Newcastle United, and I just kind of work out why. I mean, what will it take to shut them up?
Yeah, so Merson speaks again. Yeah, you're right what you're saying, John. Yeah, none of these players played in the Premier League previously. I mean, Aguero was playing in Spain and banging the goals in La Liga, and then came to the Premiership. And he started banging them in and done well. The same as Holland. He hasn't played in the Premier League. This is his first season. But you didn't hear Merson saying, "Oh, well, that's a risk. They've signed Erling Haaland, who's only played in German football and banged the goals in for fun, but he's now in the Premier League." You never heard no negativity towards Haaland signing. The same with Darwin Núñez going to Liverpool. There was no negativity around his signing. At the end of the day, as I said before, it's yes, when you come from the Liga in Spain, it's a different league altogether to the Premier League. Same as if you come from France or Italy, it's a totally different league. The problem with Merson is, I think he's just trying to he doesn't want to see success with Newcastle. That's why. And it's not just the fact he's ex-Arsenal. I think it's the fact that he's an ex-Smoggy as well, an ex-Borough player. And obviously, he's doing it to wind the fans up. And what he's doing is when he winds the fans up, he's getting a reaction, because then people are getting on his back and saying, "Oh, what are you saying this for? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that?" And he's sort of like fishing and hooking people in. The best way to do it is just ignore the guy completely. Let our team do the talking on the pitch, because then when we are right up there, then what's he going to say? And if Isak goes on and has a score and run and scores, say, 5 to 10 goals, what's he going to say at the end of the season? Oh, he didn't really cut it in the Premier League. Well, no, he did cut it in the Premier League. He's just being missed that negativity. So at the end of the day, I would just ignore him. I mean, I wouldn't even bother replying on any of his posts if you put them on Twitter or wherever, because it's not worth it, you know. There's a say, you know, revenge is best served cold, and that's the best way to do it. Just, you know, just keep it arm's length and just say, yeah, okay, whatever. Wait till we're sitting fourth in the Premier League or whatever, then see what you've got to say after that, you know. So I would just say anybody out there, don't even react to him, just laugh at him, basically.
Yeah, that's a great. Come to you in a bit, Andrew, on the Merson. Go back to Avenger. Isak status does support his value. Paid for him 15 mil. We have to consider striker cost of premium. And if anyone can improve Isak, I believe in Eddie Howe. In development him early. I'll tell you what, I've got every faith in this guy. He is a brilliant striker. Rafa was crap as well. Fantastic watching him manage the tune, and he's a good manager. And you know, Suarez, Torres, Costa all playing the Premier League. Merson probably be on the sherbet this afternoon. I think he has. Thierry Henry, instead of played in the Premier League, he was less known than Monaco and also Juve. BK, possibly the best Premier League player under a great manager, Lars Wenger. Merson is a grumpy old GAT. Merson is I won't say I can't stand the guy. He's the one who talks sport. Merson, excellent out at Arsenal. Thierry spoke highly of Isak and Arsenal were linked. Andrew, what's your take on Paul Merson on this? Because I know he ain't the early one. You got people like Gabby Bongo, Sam Allardyce, all these pundits are having a go at Newcastle because we've got the takeover and etc.
I think what I'd say, I think it's important that, you know, we don't just brush any criticism off of the club, you know, straight away on this particular point. You know, he's done. I'll sit here and I'll be honest. You know, I text a few mates and gone, you know, that is a lot of money. That is let's be honest, it's a huge amount of money. But my caveat is that you trust Eddie Howe, you trust Steve Nixon, you trust Dan Ashworth, that they've watched this player, they know exactly who they want. So I think it's all right to question and say, oh, that is because it is a bit of a gamble. But then so are most signings, whether you're buying them from the Premier League, whether you're buying them from Europe. You know, most signings are a gamble. Even Haaland, for example, there's always that little bit of chance, and it might have been 0.1% with him, but there's always a little bit of chance it doesn't work. It's always going to be a gamble. But it just goes back to trust in the people in charge at Newcastle United, trusting that, you know, they've gone out, they've watched them, they've scouted them, and there's a reason they've gone back in for them. There's a reason they wanted them so hard in the early part of the summer. And we can all sit here and share opinions and views, but it goes back to just trust in the hierarchy. And if it does backfire, then that's one they get wrong. But for everyone they get wrong, they'll get another one right. Bruno's one they've got right. I think he'll do just fine. You know, and Paul Merson didn't say any big clubs going in for him, but Arsenal was strongly linked. So, you know, that's his former club. And yeah, I think it just goes back to let people talk. But at the end of the day, the people who are inside that club working 24/7 to make it a better club on and off the pitch have made these decisions, and you've just got to trust that they know what they're doing because they've made informed decisions. And as a reporter, as a fan, I do trust that they've got this one right, because why wouldn't you? You know, I mean, you just trust they've done the homework and they get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul Merson's talking about Newcastle United. He should stick to Arsenal, yeah, and concentrate on his team as well. But
exactly, I mean that's the valid point though, because you know, imagine if I came on here and started talking about something Arsenal have done. It's like I am not in a position to make a valid opinion on Arsenal, on other teams, you know. And you're spot on in many ways. I get he's a national pundit and his opinion, he's allowed to share it. But if you are going to make such an opinion like that, it's a little bit close to the line, I think, because again, you don't know the ins and outs of how it's worked. You don't know what Newcastle have seen. You don't know the work they've put into scouting them. Just let it be, you know, and it'll work. It'll work.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, man. John, you're probably sick of me saying this, but still Paqueta not signed for West Ham. Still say we will get him. What do you think of this, Andrew? I mean, my opinion, I don't think we'll get him. I think that ship has sailed. What's your take on Paqueta?
Yeah, I was on another YouTube channel last week, Newcastle Fans TV, and we had a big discussion about this. And I do think that maybe part of the drive to see Paqueta in Newcastle, and I'm not saying Shua Geordie's part of this, but I think part of it may have been he's Bruno's best mate. Let's get him over the line. I know he's got all these caps for Brazil and he's done wonders at Lyon, but I think that was maybe part of the drive. I think he probably will end up at West Ham. I don't think Newcastle will go back in for him. I think it's going to cost a lot of money. What is it, 60 odd million that West Ham have got a price agreed or getting a price agreed?
Yeah, 60.
It would be, look, I can see the fairy tale. I can see why people would like to see Bruno Guimaraes and his Bezimara, in the centre mid. It would be lovely, but I think we just got to be realistic. It's another load of money that Newcastle will have to find to get him here, and I can't see it happening. I think if it was going to happen, it would have happened potentially by now. I think there's a reason West Ham have gone in really without any opposition from other Premier League clubs. So if he's going to come to the Premier League, and look, I'd love to be wrong, but I think it probably will be at a team like West Ham, maybe Arsenal, but I can't see it being Newcastle, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Guys, you like the video, like what you see, then please have to hit the like button. Also hit the subscribe button as well. It's free, and do plenty of contents as well. If you like to super chat, then click on the $sign. It's your choice. It's up to you. And if you'd like to become a member, then exactly what to do. Is 99p every month, and you could be in a competition we're going to run on Tuesday on the Premier League prediction show with me, Tony, and Macy. Andrew, what has been your greatest moment of being a Newcastle fan? Your best games as a Newcastle fan, and the worst?
As a fan, honestly, Sunday for me was just tremendous against Manchester City. Like, from the word go, from walking up to the stadium, there was just a different feeling about it. Walking into it, watching the flag display, and getting to the seat, it was just something really special. The atmosphere there, that will stick with me for a long time. The Spurs game, first game after the takeover went through, that was special. The opening 10 minutes or so, the war flags display, big river, and then Callum Wilson getting the goal, that was special. But I suppose in terms of a match, I enjoyed when Newcastle beat Chelsea very late on. Isaac Hayden header, St Maximin with a beautiful cross. That was I thought a really good way to end the game. Obviously, the one. And then it's I remember trips when I was young, going down to Ellen Road and Pride Park, and Newcastle winning both games very late on down at the respective stadiums of Derby and Leeds. And I'd say though the one that will probably always stick with me is the 5-1 against Sunderland. That was, that was a very special afternoon. Newcastle were just absolutely superb. It had absolutely everything. Shola doing what he does best. Kevin Nolan with the hat-trick, and a bit of feistiness. Titus Bramall getting the red card. The atmosphere was brilliant. And, that one will, I'd probably say the 5-1 against Sunderland is probably the one I'll go with. Yeah,
absolutely. Tony, would you go along with that 5-1 against Sunderland? That was cracking. That game that Andrew mentioned against Spurs, the new owner's first game, that was really special as well. But there has been some special games. The one against United, we beaten 5-0. Absolutely amazing. Philippe Albert done that chip. That would never be forgotten, man.
It was, but unfortunately I was about 5, so I wasn't there. But I did speak to Martin Tyler last month for a piece I did on the greatest Newcastle United commentaries of the modern era. So I spoke to Martin Tyler, I spoke to Clive Tylesley, I spoke to John Champion and Justin Lockwood, who did the 4-4 on what it was, Real Radio. But to speak to Martin Tyler about that game, that 5-0 game, to have an hour of his company was absolutely superb, and to reminisce about that chip and the way Newcastle played. Most of the goals were fantastic, and it was just a tremendous game. That anniversary will be coming up next month. I think it'll be 26 years. It'll be, if my maths is right. But yeah, you are right. I've seen the highlights, and you never get bored of watching. I could recite it. I could recite Martin Tyler's commentary line for line. To be fair, I've watched it that many times. I'm sure we all could actually. And you are right. If you're going further back, the stories your dad tells you, the stories, your older relatives tell you, then that one's definitely going to be up there for most people, I think.
Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Venture, big Paqueta in Newcastle would downgrade Bruno's performance in the pitch because it would push Bruno playing more like it was in Lyon. Even if he won, how's your day been? It's been spot on, mate. I had a tough day today, but hey ho, and glad my mum was home. Any streams or video planned for the weekend, John? Yes, there'll probably be a show tomorrow, and also the warm-up show before the Wolves game be at 12:30. So keep your eyes peeled for that, mate. My best moment, Barca 3-2. Today, Ashley leaving and Bruno winner. Yeah, that's a good one. Any signs of anyone leaving, including Dubs, off to United, and any signs of Madison? That went quiet. I'll start with you, Tony, and I'll go with Andrew on that one. Go on, Tony.
The Dubravka one.
Yeah,
if I'm honest, I don't think we should sell him. Let him go to Man United. I'll tell you why. Because they messed us about in January over Lingard. They then messed us about at the start of the summer window with Henderson. I mean, back in January, it was reported they wanted a £5 million loan fee for Lingard plus a £12 million survival bonus, which was absolutely ridiculous because there's no way you're going to pay £17 million for a player on loan who would be out of contract at the end of June. So, you know, I don't know what planet they were on at the time. So I don't think we should send Dubravka to Man United. We should. I know he's now making noises he wants to go there, but personally, if he's going to leave us as a number 2 to go to Man United as a number 2, that doesn't make sense in my eyes because you're not going to get past to here. And the only time that Dubravka's going to play would be in a cup game. Maybe they might put him in a European game, depending. Like if, say, Man U are on the verge of qualifying, maybe, because I reckon De Gea would be first choice in the European games as well, I would imagine. So I just don't understand why Dubravka's now all of a sudden saying, I want to leave Newcastle because I'm in number 2, because he can't get past Nick Pope at the moment. And, you know, Pope's not put a foot wrong. So why should Pope drop down to the bench? So to me, it does not make sense. Now, on the Madison saga, now we've heard Brendan Rodgers, I think today or yesterday, speaking that he wants to get players in, but he can't buy players until they sell. But we've offered supposedly 50 million for Madison, and obviously out of that 50 million, they've got to give Norwich a 15% sell-on clause, which is fair enough. I mean, Norwich will be hoping that Leicester sell Madison so they get a little bit of money because they're in the Championship, which will help their club out. But if it come to it, you know, Leicester still really need a goalkeeper. You know, it could be one of them where you could say to Leicester, look, you know, do you want Dubravka? If you want Dubravka, we see between 10 and 15 million. You can have him, and we'll take Madison as part of the deal. You know, things like that could work out that way. But I think the Madison deal, I don't think that's actually dead. Because if they get beat off Chelsea tomorrow, which I think they will do, by the way, because it's at Stamford Bridge, and Leicester are in the bottom 3. Now, Madison may be worried about trying to get back in the England team and getting the World Cup squad. And if Leicester are struggling in the bottom 3 come after Saturday, he may well start making noises he wants to go. Because if he doesn't leave this window, then next season, come the next summer window, he's got a year left on his contract. They're never going to get £50 million for Madison. They'll be lucky if they get 20, 25 million. So, you know, and they've turned obviously Chelsea's bid for Fofana down to 70 million because they want 80 to 85 million for him. And again, I've seen some Leicester fans actually angry about it and saying, well, you know, why don't we sell a couple of players, get the money in so we can buy players and get the team up the league? So I don't know. It's a bit of a strange one with Leicester. You know, I don't know what you think of it, Andrew, but I still think the Madison deal, I think something's bubbling away in the background. I've got this feeling, and I think something could happen on that. Maybe it may do, maybe it not. But, you know, I would take Madison at a drop of a hat.
He's a tremendous player. He would improve the squad without a shadow of a doubt. And as bad as Leicester have been, he's been, you know, their best performer of the first, 3 opening games. You know, they're in a bit of a mess there. I think a lot might hinge on whether Fofana goes to Chelsea, and then does that maybe lower the need to sell another player to get funds? Again, we could then look at the player. Does the player then want to kick up a fuss? Eddie Howe's very particular about character, and you wonder whether if Madison has to kick up a fuss and force a move through, does that maybe show a little bit of his character? Maybe that doesn't fit with what Howe's trying to build. Sometimes you can be the best player in the world, but if you do have this character trait, then it doesn't outweigh the talent doesn't outweigh the bad character traits, so to speak. But he would be a fantastic addition, but he would cost 45, 50 million. You would think, but again, it would be another massive statement. And you're right. I think with most deals, most of the players, your listeners, your viewers have asked about Pedro, Madison. You can just never say never, because we thought the Isak deal was dead. If you'd asked anyone last week, you'd have been hard pushed to find someone who was 80, 90%, 100% sure this deal was going to happen. That it all seemed to start on Monday again, and it's moved pretty quickly, and that shows you the way of the market. So we could next week get a Monday, and all of a sudden Madison's back on, Pedro's back on, or a player that hasn't even been linked is suddenly on. So you just can never say never, especially when Newcastle have got a little bit of cash to go at, and they are an attractive proposition, and it's an exciting time because they will be busy. They will be busy in the final stages of this window, which is something we don't usually say about Newcastle United. So that in itself is something just to be excited about.
I mean, another thing, Andrew, as well. Just another quick question to you. I mean, one player that I would look I've not seen the club. I think he was linked with us slightly in January, but not massively at the time. This is a player I've been banging on about a long time, and he plays and he can play in a variety of positions. He can play in defensive midfield centre. He can play up front. He can play a right wing. He plays for Nons, and we could probably get him for about 15 to 20 million pound, and that would be a steal. A player called Ludovic Blas.
I've not heard of him, but I'll take your word on it. And you know what? Again, I don't know this for certain, but you would suspect that Newcastle and the scouting team are well aware of the big names, the little names, and I'm sure that there'll be loads of players that we will never probably hear of that they scout and think, oh, he's a good one, but maybe it's not the right time to move. Maybe because as Isak said in his interview today, there's so many elements to a move that's got to come together before it forms one big circle and it all clicks into place. So, but I'm sure, what do you like about him? Is it just his versatility, or?
He can play in a number of positions. He's 24, so he's young. He's French. Last season he started all 35 games, scored 10 goals and 5 assists. And his strengths are penalty taking, high pressing, and long balls, and he has no outstanding weaknesses. And I've seen a couple of French games, and I've seen him play, and he ain't a bad player. And I think he would do well in the Premier League. I'm surprised nobody snapped him up, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm like, you get that, don't you? Though, because you get like when players have finally do arrive, you think, goodness me, why did it take so long for someone to get XYZ over from the channel? But yeah, there'll be, like I say, plenty of names that we'll probably never hear of that would have been looked at one time. I'm sure that if he's as good as you say, he probably will one day end up in the Premier League at some team.
Yeah, we got Diaby from the French league for 4 million, didn't we? And look what he was like. Yeah, what a player he was. Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But that's an interesting one. And Bias from Nantes, I think he's a decent player for me. He's quick and he's so skillful. Loves to take on players as well. I've got one here from Paqueta. I've even seen it. Diaby, the report say he didn't want to join 6'4" striker. Someone you need. Hope he can live up to his potential and turn his conversation rates around into goals. Look, at the end of the day, he's here now. We've got to back the guy. Simple as that. And I rate this guy. Leicester won't survive. They lose 2 out of 3 for Fan and Madison and Tielemans. Dubravka, a second choice. Man United still get to play quite a lot of games in Europa, where the second choice for us, depending on us having 2 incredible cup runs, excuse me, even though Pope will probably play the big cup games. Paqueta's off to West Ham, as well documented. Eddie must think Willock, Drawlin and Bruno are good enough to push for top 10 position, which I believe they can do, only if they're on form in every single game. Diaz refusing to play for Nantes to push for a move to Lille tells you everything about his character. This is the thing, Andrew. We don't want any players who have a bad attitude coming to Newcastle United. We've had those over the years, yeah. And these owners will check them out properly before taking them on as well, mate.
Yeah, 100%. And that's it with every element of anybody that arrives. It'll be their character, it'll be their application, it'll be absolutely everything, because Eddie Howe has set the bar. You know, the standards are so high in Newcastle, and I would imagine you have to tick every single box that Eddie Howe puts down in front of you. And, you know, that might sound demanding to some outside Newcastle, but for me, that just shows you how meticulous he is. It shows you the ambition that he's got, that he wants to build a squad that does go the extra mile, that puts in 100% every time, that has got the right attitude, that understands what it means to be successful, understands why it's important you do put all your effort in for this great club. And you look at Pep Guardiola, you know, very few of his players, you know, do anything other than put 100% in. You know, that he's got very, very high standards, and you can see in a little way that's the way Eddie Howe is I think, is starting to tailor Newcastle United, that it's not just about quality, it's about how you apply yourself on the pitch. If things are bad, you know, Kieran Trippier is a prime example. You saw on Wednesday or Tuesday against Tranmere, things were going bad. He comes off the bench, and you can just see him straight away. He's pointing players in directions. He's telling them to calm down, to focus. He then sets up the 2 goals. And he is a prime example of the kind of player you want at Newcastle, as is Matt Ritchie in terms of attitude, application. You know, you can hear him just talking and organising. And I absolutely love it. Look, he's not going to pull up any trees in the remainder of his career, but plenty of talk of him leaving early in the summer. But if he stops at Newcastle, I think the benefit he could bring off the pitch in terms of a mentor to younger players, say Elliot Anderson, and in terms of just setting that bar, because you know every day you go into training, Matt Ritchie might not be the first name on the team sheet, but if you're a player that is, you know you've got to maintain a level, because Matt Ritchie is right behind you and he is putting everything into training. I think that's absolutely superb, and you can see that's what he wants to build. Put in 110%, play like it's your final ever game, because you have 52,000 people watching you that would, you know, give everything to be in your position for just a minute. So you're privileged. Go out there and prove to these fans that you understand what it means to play for Newcastle United. And so far, touch wood, you would say the majority have done that, and it's absolutely superb and long way to continue.
Absolutely well said, Andrew. Absolutely well said, man. Because at the end of the day, we want to see players who's got to show the heart, the passion. You play for this, you play for your badge, and the supporters is going to remember yours for the back of your shirt. It's as simple as that. I love Isak, who's a preferred incoming transfer. Same here. Only issue with Isak could be his preference to drift out to the left and court side. I wonder how him and Raxi will work. That'd be interesting to see. Because it's very close to John West Ham, we know that. We're not going to jack him. It ain't going to happen. Hand on heart, guys. Where will we finish the season? For me, I'm going to say between 6th and 7th. Well, right, Andrew, you sticking with 10th, 11th, mate?
I am. I can already see some people are giving us a bit of pelters in the comments, but I've said this from the start. Give me 10th and a good cup run, slow and steady for me.
Yeah, and Tony, what are you going for, mate, before we talk about Wolves game?
Do you know what? If we got 7th place, I would take that all day long, because it gets you in the Europa Conference League, and that's a start of progression from there. And it helps you out when you're in European competition, getting better players in the club as well. So if we got 7th, I'd be very happy with 7th. But any top 10, I mean, you know, it's improvement from what we've had. Normally, it's been like, the ambition at the club was, under the previous ownership, was to finish 4th bottom. As long as we finished 17th place, that kept them happy. But now we are pushing to get in the higher echelons of the Premier League, and that's where we want to be. So if we got 7th, I'd be happy with that. and I would say a good cup run. And I did say in my predictions at the start of the season, John, that I would like, I've got us down as Carabao Cup winners. So who knows? And that's a great competition to go for, because a lot of the bigger sides play their weekend teams and that until they get into like the quarters or the semis. So yeah, why not have a good go at it? We had a great chance a couple of years ago on it. Shame the manager didn't think that way, but this time round we've got a different manager who's more of a winner.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go with 7th for me, 6th or 7th this season. And we can get a right side midfielder and another midfielder, maybe it's a goalkeeper, then I think we can have a 10 out of 10 window, by the way. And Benno said as well, Eddie Howe said he can see Isak and Wilson playing together, well together. Could it see us change from a 4-3-3? That would be very interesting. But for me personally, it's to 4-3-3. Paqueta's best mate, all on Craig Dawson, not Bruno. And Carl said, hi, Big Sinclair, new to the channel. I'm calling it off work. It's just had something removed. So, big Wrexham fan. Carl, thank you very much for coming on. Do hit the subscribe button, my guy. We're going to talk about the Wolves game on Sunday. Hopefully, Isak will start. I'll start with Andrew. Will he keep the same formation like he did against Man City? And how do you think the game will go?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much an unchanged side, really, isn't it? Other than Wilson. Matt Target played against Tranmere, but he didn't look up to scratch. He was kind of caught out for their goal. So if Dan Burn is okay to go, I'll admit I can't remember what I said this morning. Obviously, he had a bit of concussion. But if Dan Burn's fit, then you can see him probably slipping into that left back, as he's done really, really well. And then the rest of it's pretty much unchanged. I don't think if Isak gets clearance, I don't think he will start. I think he'll start him on the bench just because Chris Wood has scored and it's been a big few days for the lad. And I know he's getting paid all this money and what have you, but he's still a human after all. So it's been a busy day for him, and I think it would be a good option to bring him off the bench as well. And Wolves are going to be a bit physical, so it's a good chance to say to Chris Wood, go out there and ruffle a few feathers, because really these are the kind of defenders that you really should be relishing going up against and putting a bit of fight into. So I think he'll start Chris Wood, but I thought against City that he would have started Sean Longstaff, and watching Joe Willock for the first 20 minutes, I thought he looked a little bit uncomfortable. I thought he didn't do the defensive work. Didn't look comfortable filling in as a kind of an added protection to the back four. But once he started playing to his own strengths and getting the ball and carrying it forward, he was a massive thorn in City's side. I mean, it was really good to see. So I think he's done enough to start again on Sunday. It depends, of course, how tired he is, because he was the second or fifth, the only sole survivor in that Tranmere side, wasn't he? So depends if he's still got the energy in the legs. But if he has, I can pretty much see an unchanged side, but for Wood coming in for Callum Wilson.
Okay. And what about you, Tony, Sunday's game?
Yeah, it's going to be a different game. I mean, Wolves are not a bad side. I mean, I know that I'm not a great start to the season. But this season, hopefully going down there will be a better trip than it was last season in the pouring rain when we lost 2-1. Little did we know at the time that it was actually Mike Ashley's last game as the owner, because a few days later the takeover was announced. That came out of the blue. Nobody knew that was going to happen after that game. So this time round, it's a totally different game. We're a totally different animal now to what Wolves saw last season down at Molineux. We beat them at St James's 1-0 thanks to Chris Wood's penalty. I'm like Andrew. I can see Isak starting on the bench, and Wood being given the start, because, like you see, he got that goal, and Trippier's corners. I mean, he's just great at dead balls. Trippier is, and not only his corners but his free kicks as well. But I can see us going down then, and hopefully I can see us getting a positive result. Wolves have brought some good players in, like Nunes, Matteo Nunes, and I saw his interview the other day on Sky, and apparently he says his stepdad's from Sunderland. He's a Mackham, so I A lot of Newcastle fans have probably heard that, so you probably get a bit of stick, the poor lad. But but that's what we do with the rivals. We give them a bit of stick, the Sunderland lads. But let's see how it goes. But I can see us going there in, I think, a 2-1 win, 2-0 win Newcastle.
Yep, so I'll go 2-1 for Newcastle United as well. No problems at all there. I don't see any reason why I should go there and get a result there. Andrew, can you see Anderson making starting 11 this season? I think we have a future gem here.
It's a big call, isn't it? Eddie Howe has said that you can see him staying, but I'm a big believer that if he's just on the bench and he's not going to get a load of game time, send him out until January. Get him to a championship club. And let's get him an agreement nailed down where he is, he's got to get XYZ minutes under his belt every week, because I do fear that you kind of then risk stunting the development. Now, Dan Ashworth, Eddie Howe will have a plan for the youngsters. They'll have a plan for Anderson. He's clearly the most talented one, in the setup there. So they will have a big plan for him. They'll know what the future holds for him. But in my opinion, if he's just going to sit on the bench, there's only so much you can do in terms of development, training week in, week out with the first team. It's not a real competitive game, is it? So if he's not going to get the minutes, I'd get him out on loan to at least January, and then you can assess it come January, because he is going to be a big name, but there's no guarantee. But to kind of get as close to maybe a guarantee as possible, let's get him some first team minutes, because otherwise I do fear you're just going to stunt his development.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. So if he needs to be playing games every single week and then see how it goes from there. And we're going to read this contact before we wrap the show up. I think we should sign Gallagher on loan to the end of this transfer window. He would bring a lot more attacking threat to our attacking along with Joe and Bruno. Patrick, I think he's going to end up staying down London, mate. I just can't see him coming to Newcastle. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see him here, but I think he'll probably stay in London. Might be controversial, but I think we can steal the points mid against Liverpool too. We're not scared of them at the minute. We're playing really, really well. Nunes runs start against Newcastle because of the red card. Yeah, he's got another game. Well, he's got 2 more games to serve out, and he Bournemouth and Newcastle. So he's available after the Newcastle game. So we're going to wrap up there. Oh, give us your score prediction, Andrew, for the Wolves Newcastle game, mate.
Yeah, I'm going to go 1-0 Newcastle, but I think if they get an early goal, because he's under a bit of pressure, I think down there, they might get on his back. So I think an early goal in this is key, but I'm backing them to get the win this weekend.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed on that. Yeah, we're going to wrap up that there, guys, and thank you so much for coming on again. And Tony, big up to you, because bringing on Andrew on my show, much blessed as well. Really blessed that as well. Andrew, did you enjoy coming on my show today?
I did. Yes, it's been a pleasure, and I'll certainly be back on if I get the invite.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And can you give us a shout out on your socials, please? Where can we find you and your socials, your channel?
Yeah, you can find me at ADM Musgrove on Twitter. And then the Everything is Black and White podcast on your podcast provider. We do about 6-7 shows a week, various kind of shows. And it's just a really enjoyable way to get your kind of Newcastle United insight from the journalists who cover it. And then obviously there's a great mix of YouTube channels like this one. And I think that's one thing I will say. Newcastle United fans are absolutely spoiled for content at the moment. There is a great market out there, and I think every channel does something a little bit different. So you guys are a big part of that as well. And I think Newcastle fans are very lucky in terms of the options they've got to talk Newcastle United. So this has been thoroughly enjoyable.
Andrew, you know what? You're a top guy. Thanks so much. You know what? We always want to get you on, sort of thing. If only can get JG on as well. But thank you very much, man. And go for these comments for you at the show. John, you've been brilliant. Tony is always fab, and Andrew been mint. I hope you're back on again, and we'll make sure you get him back on again without a shadow of doubt. I'd rather Willock to start, to be fair. I'm a Willock fan. Yes, I have him. And Grace is a big Joe Willock fan as well. Yep, agree with Anderson is getting a lot of minutes. We risk stagnating his potential. He should be playing every single week. That's no bother, lads. In a bit, Patrick, thanks for coming on. Please, Patrick, hit that subscribe button, mate, if you can. That'd be brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Chris Wood, 3 Wolves, nil. Have a good weekend, lads. And you, Aaron, we're back on the game tomorrow, mate. 2-1 Tune to us. Great show, guys. Great kids, Andrew. Tony, bring the glasses back. Take care to you as well, my guy. And Tony, where can we find you on socials, please, mate?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at TonyTony31. Give me a follow and I'll follow you back.
Thank you very much indeed. And I've got my socials in the link as well. You can go for that. And if you like the video, like what you see, just have to hit that like button. Also hit the subscribe button. It's free. And you like super chat, hit the $. And if you'd like to become a member, it's 99p as well. But Kai Sven, thank you so much for becoming the latest member, mate. I forgot to read that out to you, but I've noticed that today. Got a bit of breaking news as well that Chelsea has finally agreed to sell the take on for Varna from Leicester City. He'll be the most expensive defender ever. So there you go. That's the breaking news there. Thank you, J3. And until then, guys, I'll keep you two guys background for a bit. And I shall see you guys tomorrow and go another show. So thanks for watching. Being blessed and is a goodbye for now.
Right.